Hi, I'm your host Megalon Jones, and welcome back to the sharp end of the stick. It's December 6th, 1944, and we are currently playing the combat mission Final Blitzkrieg scenario, A Muddy Affair. Yesterday, Team Able from Task Force Abrams was ambushed in the Franco-German town of Zingling. It's 24 hours later, and Team Baker has been tasked with seizing Zingling and annihilating the German opposition. As such, we've been given a combined arms team of armored infantry and a whole horde of Sherman tanks to take care of business. We've got mostly occupy objectives along with one touch objective. We've been told to expect infantry, self-propelled guns, and the possibility of German armor. We've got 1 hour and 10 minutes to take care of business here. The terrain is muddy and open. Zingling itself sits on top of a hill which will cover our advance. The most notable observation I can make is the east-west motorway between Zingling. This is paved road which will allow the Germans to move forces much easier than I can due to the extreme amount of mud, and I'm taking that all into account. As such, my battle plan has been sent around severing the artery. I'm going to move 2/3 of my force to the center left of the map, up to the hill, dump smoke, and move forward. At that point, we're going to use the Sherman 75s and 76s as close support, smash up everything we can see before advancing infantry. It's 10:35 in the morning under gray skies as Team Baker gets rolling. This whole thing is an even more exercise in patience because we can only creep along. The mud would just suck up the Sherman tanks. We have good lines of sight going into Zingling. However, there's nothing really to be seen but buildings, and it's the construction of these buildings that give us some worry. They're concrete and brick. And as such, it takes quite a bit of 75 millimeters to really do in any of the buildings. My initial thought was to flatten some of them to increase LOS. This really doesn't go anywhere. I would have had to used up all my 75 millimeter. The ingress into Zingling goes mostly well. One of the Sherman gets bogged and immobilized, and there's a couple iffy situations where other Shermans get stuck, but they're able to work themselves out. On the left of the advance is 1st Platoon. They detach forward scouts and move themselves up a dirty, dusty, muddy road. There's no fire from the enemy. As the smoke falls, the remainder of 1st Platoon moves forward. The 105mm smoke barrage is better than I could have imagined. It gives us a good solid 5 minutes or so of obstructed vision, allowing everybody to get into position. Eventually, though, the cat and mouse game ends and one of my scouts gets severely wounded. Fire's coming from our left. It's at this point that we lose our 2nd Sherman due to the mud. He's stuck in not the worst position. He still has some line of sight, but he isn't going anywhere. Under the smoke, elements of 1st Platoon make their way up into the first buildings in Zingling. Right behind them is going to be an engineer team to help blow in the walls. Meanwhile, the immobilized Sherman fires at where he thinks the German ambush came from. Under the covering fire, more parts of 1st Platoon move forward. We've got 2 Sherman tanks working this possible German position. There's no more nasty surprises for 1st Platoon. The wall goes and we got a squad of GIs moving in, followed up by more infantry. Pretty much as soon as we make it into Zingling, the center of the town erupts. Not much to say here, but to show off the positioning of our forces. 1st Platoon is in the lead, 2nd Platoon is behind them. The ambush on the left has been largely negated, although we've run into a firestorm to our immediate front. First Platoon's fight is vicious and relatively quick. The German army puts some hurt on us, but they're quickly, or mostly, overpowered by the firepower put down by the Shermans. We're just starting to get some really good results. At least one fire team is trying to surrender. When a Panzerfaust smashes up a Sherman tank, I'm calling 1st Platoon's action successful, even though some of the squads and fire teams are starting to lose their nerves. The German fire slackens. It's at this point that I decide to start sending 2nd Platoon forward on 1st Platoon's right flank. We're starting to get armor sound contacts, so 1st Platoon sends forward a bazooka team, and they get completely bushwhacked in an ambush. It's at this point that we get our first eyes on German rolling armor, Panthers. The firing on our left and center has considerably died down, but we're still getting threats from the right. This is a Panzerfaust fired. We got to find out who those guys are and take care of them quick. 2nd Platoon is now engaged on its right, and it is being assisted by artillery brought down. The armor seems to be moving from screen left to screen right, so they're heading straight into a 105mm artillery ambush. Remember those guys who shot up my bazooka team? They live about another 2 minutes before they lose their nerve and get cut down. Here we have some trouble averted by a tree. You look center, that is a Panther, and he's shooting, and it appears that our Sherman is saved by the greatest anti-tank defenses known to man, the foliage in the combat mission games. Give you an idea of what the 105 artillery is doing. It's sent to a long mission and it's awfully close to friendly forces, but the accuracy of the American artillery has made it so we don't have any friendly fire casualties yet. With the threat growing on the right, I decided it's time to slowly move 3rd Platoon into action. Second Platoon and its accompanying tanks have been ordered to shoot up anything that looks like a threat. Right now, to me, everything looks like a threat. Again, the German fire slackens and everything appears to be going according to plan. Okay, we're at about the halfway point in the battle and nothing's really changed. My plan remains intact. I want to sever the east-west road and start putting pressure with 3rd Platoon on the German right flank. Hope you all enjoyed this. We're going to cut it a little bit short as the video is running long, if that makes sense. There'll be a part 2 coming within 2 weeks or so, after which I hope to dive headfirst into Combat Mission Cold War, assuming it's been released this month. That'll be it for now. I hope you all enjoy your time, and I'll see you on the flip side.
On December 25th, 1953, a child is born, a virgin birth. Tomorrow, all civilization will tremble under his almighty power. He must be obeyed.
Who were Moses and Jesus really? Accept me, no questions. Sacrifices to your God are nothing new.
Are you going to tell me all those people are meant to die?
Why did you attack all those